are going to destroy this planet. They're going to destroy this country, and they are going to wipe out large portions of humanity. They need to stop. I don't know that Donald Trump averts the crisis. I can certainly tell you that it's the better option, and heaven help us.
It's a disturbing practice to watch how often DOJ indictments are treated as gospel. Unproven prosecutorial assertions are often proven exaggerated, false, invented, without evidence, etc. But a political indictment 2 months before an election deserves extra skepticism. Did he say the same with Comey's statements about Hillary's emails?
Sacred democracy. Here you see on the screen the indictment.
Oh, we get a real lawyer analysis. Oh boy. Federal indictments are generally really well researched, and it is very, 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 very difficult to beat a federal case. You're almost always convicted or pleading guilty to some charge if you got a federal indictment your way. Minuscule amount of money. What a fucking hack. 100K per video is not minuscule in the YouTube market. Those are Mr. Beast level of endorsement deals. Correct. That is especially for not promoting a particular thing or taking content direction. I have said before that Tim Pool is a very large content creator, and he absolutely is. But $100,000 for a 5 or 10 minute video without even promoting a particular product, no CTAs, no call to action, no affiliate links, or no like sales metrics, or no no incentive, no like performance goals, no nothing like that. That's an insane sponsor. You should immediately be thinking, what do we got?
Here you see on the screen the indictment from, actually this is the press release from the Justice Department. Now just remember, we're talking here about the Biden Justice Department.
So what? So? But, well, okay, sorry. Maybe he's got something fair to say about that.
Department indicting the Russians 2 months before an election based on the obvious narrative that the Russians are interfering in our sacred democracy in order once again to elect Donald Trump. It is
no. What?
Based on the obvious narrative that the Russians are interfering in our sacred democracy in order once again to elect Donald Trump.
I don't know if any of this explicitly had to do with Donald Trump. I think that the accusation centered on the type of content that they were amplifying were just divisive issues in America. But okay.
It is a complete politicization and abuse of the justice system in the most flagrant ways possible.
Oh, actually, and also, I'm so sorry. Hold on. He might be talking about the other release from the Justice Department. He might not be talking about the indictments that we went over relating to Lauren Chen. I'm so sorry. So when he's talking about that, the Russian narrative for getting Trump elected, or whatever, he might be referring to that. It's a separate, like 230-page thing that we haven't read yet on the stream. So he might be talking about that.
Well, the headline reads, quote, 2 RT employees are...
Never mind. Just kidding. He's a fucking retard. I'm sorry.
Are indicted for covertly funding and directing U.S. companies.
I'm trying to be charitable out here, okay?
Thousands of videos in furtherance of Russian interest. Quote, an indictment charging Russian nationals Konstantin Kalashnikov, 31, also known as Kostya, and Elena Avansevia, 27, also known as Lena, with conspiracy to violate the Foreign Agents Restrictions Act and conspiracy to commit money laundering was unsealed today in a New York court. They're both at large. The Justice Department has charged the 2 employees of RT, a Russian state-controlled media, in a $10 million scheme to create and distribute content to U.S. audiences with hidden Russian government messaging, said Attorney General Merrick Garland. Quote, the Justice Department will not tolerate attempts by an authoritarian regime to exploit our country's free exchange of ideas in order to covertly fund its own propaganda efforts, and our investigation today into this matter remains ongoing. Now, just to give you a little bit of context, again, let's assume everything in the indictment is true, even though it's just a series of government unproven assertions that a grand jury accepted, because as the old saying goes, a grand jury will...
Don't say the indicted ham sandwich line, you piece of shit. I was just about to bring up how many lying lawyer bring this ham sandwich thing up.
Indict a ham sandwich.
Every lawyer that brings this up is lying to you. Lawyers lie more than anybody else, okay? The standard for an indictment is probable cause. The standard for a conviction is beyond a reasonable doubt. You do not bring an indictment when the only thing you think you're ever going to get is the standard for the indictment. And the proof of that is the fact that 90+% of federal indictments end in a conviction or a plea deal. Okay? So this, you can indict a ham sandwich, is something anytime a lawyer tells you that, they're a lying scumbag piece of shit. Every single fucking time. This is a federal indictment, okay? Some estimates will say as high as a 98% conviction rate, depending on if you count, drop charges or not, dismiss charges or not, right? The idea here, oh, you're gonna indict anything, right? That is true, like, on paper, that's true. But the reality is federal prosecutors aren't going to indict somebody if they think the only thing they're ever going to find is probable cause, okay? It's a lie. It's a lie that dipshit lawyers try to pass off when they think that a person doesn't know better, right? Just like in our debate, when this skeevy tried to pass off the Hawaiian elector shit because he didn't think I knew anything about it. He did the same thing. They know he knows better than this. He knows better than this. He knows better. He knows and he lies. He knowingly lies because that's what a lie is. It's not just getting something wrong. It's telling a lie when you know that it's a lie, okay? It's funny because Rudy is still way more of a lawyer than Destiny Abercrombie. Actually, Rudy might be as much of a lawyer as I am right now. Hold on. Let's check. Has Rudy been formally disbarred yet? Rudy Giuliani disbarred in New York. So actually, you're wrong. Me and Rudy Giuliani are both about this. Actually, if anything, I might be more of a lawyer than Rudy Giuliani because I don't know if you can go from being disbarred to being barred again. So I might be able to be a lawyer in the future, and I don't know if Rudy Giuliani can ever be a lawyer again. I'm not sure how that works. I don't have these all bookmarked, okay?
Then John Kennedy, on a recount, was declared the winner as the certified vote. They sent both slates of electors.
Oh, okay. This was it. Sorry. Okay. I asked him to explain the 1960 elector thing.
Peacefully and turned over peacefully the levers of power to the certified winner of the 2020 election, which was Joe Biden.
Real quick, just on that explanation, what happened in 1960 that was comparable to this event?
There was a dispute about which candidate had won Hawaii, whether it was Richard Nixon or John Kennedy. First, Richard Nixon was declared the winner. Then John Kennedy, on a recount, was declared the winner as the certified vote. They sent both slates of electors to the Congress, and Richard Nixon, presiding over the Senate, like Mike Pence, serving that function, declared that the real winner of Hawaii was John F. Kennedy. The reason I say it's not comparable is because in that case, the state had certified
exactly
the last resort.
Yeah, that's great.
So he brought this 1960 thing up as an example, okay? But the problem with using a lot of conservatives run to this like 1960 elector slate thing, say like, oh, multiple electors had been submitted in 1960. But as he just accurately described in Hawaii, the reason why they submitted 2 was because the vote difference was like 136 votes, and they had to do a recount. So the state legislature sent in 2 authorized set of elector slates to be chosen, whoever won the recount when they got to Congress or whatever. But he knows all of this information, but he brought it up anyways. Sorry. I'll have this more concisely pointed next time. I only bring that up just to say that, like, when he says things like this, oh, you can indict a ham sandwich, he's knowingly 100% lying to you, and he knows that that's bullshit. He knows that this is not a good point. He knows that you don't just indict on a ham sandwich hunch, right? I quote tweeted and I linked this. Like, you can look at federal indictments, and a huge percentage of these either end up in convictions, okay, or you plead guilty to them. The idea that federal indictments are just whatever is retarded, okay? In fiscal year 2022, only 290 of 71,954 defendants in federal criminal cases, about 0.4%, went to trial and were acquitted. But, okay. Sorry. I hate this guy.
Unproven assertions that a grand jury accepted because, as the old saying goes, a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich because there's no defendant there to contest anything. They only hear the prosecutor's version of events.
Yes. That's how probable cause works. There is you don't defend yourself at the charging stage of a crime. Like, you can't argue if a cop finds marijuana in your car or whatever, and marijuana is illegal in your state. You can't argue your case at that point. They only need probable cause to arrest you. What are you talking about?
So let's assume that everything is true. That basically the crux of the allegation that the media predictably is trumpeting all over the place is that RT spent roughly $10 million in order to pay for the placement of videos that do things like question the war in Ukraine, that criticize U.S. Foreign policy. And the argument is that it was done with disguise. In other words, they pretended that it was an American company that was actually offering this money, entering into a contract, when in fact it was the Russians behind it, and that was concealed. $10 million, put that in context, $10 million. In August alone, the Kamala Harris campaign, in 1 month, raised $230 million. The Trump campaign, just this month, raised $180 million.
What is the point of these comparisons? what is the
presidential campaigns of the major parties now spend close to $1 billion in total, $1 billion just on paid advertising. Then you add